What is going on, guys? My name is Chris Benetti, and I'm the expert here helping you with funnel design. Now, before I get started, I just want to go ahead and thank Stephen so much for the awesome intro that he gave me just before. For me personally, I'm really honored to be here and be amongst all of these awesome people and be teaching you guys a bit about funnel design for affiliate marketing. So, a bit of background about me. I am actually the number one funnel designer in the Southern Hemisphere, and I was chosen by Russell Brunson back in August 2017, so nearly a year ago now. And since then, I have just been focusing all of my attention on funnel design and just how we can really get the most out of our funnels with design and how we can increase conversions, how we can help people's flow throughout the funnels get better. So let's jump straight into it. The way I'm going to roll this training is basically a little bit of a PowerPoint. It's really just going to be a reference point for us so we can sort of structure this a little bit. And then I'll be jumping back into some strategy and like walking you through the process of how I actually do funnel builds with design. So obviously this is going to be after Nathan Shearer, who walked through your launch checklist for funnels on the tech side of things. This is going to be a design aspect for that. So if we go ahead and jump in, I've started this late, my pre-launch design checklist. So basically, this is the steps that I take every single time I'm redesigning a template, every single time I'm building a page, and every single time I'm funnel hacking or creating congruency. Really, like with affiliate marketing, there's no real need for funnel hacking. We're more so looking to direct the flow of people. So having our initial front end, we really want to keep congruency throughout the funnel. So the funnel on our end, though, may just be an opt-in. It may just be a reverse squeeze page. It may just be a hero funnel. And from there, then we take them to the affiliate offer. And if our front end doesn't match our back end, which isn't even ours to design in the first place, then people are going to get overwhelmed. They're going to get confused. They're not even going to be sure that they're in the same place or in the right place. So that's why designing your funnels at the start is so important when it comes to where they end up. So, like I said, my name's Chris. I'm here with the funnel division, and we have been building funnels for years now. And like I said, we're very just centric around design and increasing conversions with design-based elements and techniques. And I'm going to teach those to you guys. So step one for my design checklist is fonts. It is so important to have fonts that actually work with each other. And it really just comes back down to congruency and branding. So if you aren't congruent with your affiliate offer, and if your branding isn't similar or the same as, then you're going to have some issues with people not being convinced when they get to that page. And that directly ties in with my next step, which is colors. So we really need to make sure that we keep congruency, ultimate congruency. So those two things equal ultimate congruency. We need to make sure we keep those two things to ensure that people who are coming through our front end of our funnel and end up on the affiliate offer still feel as though they are in the right place and as though they are where they're meant to be. For me, if I went from a yellow page to a black page with completely different fonts, texts, images, even references in terms of the copy and stuff, I would be like, what the heck is it? Like, I'm not even on the same place. I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to leave, obviously. But if you make it the funnel look the same on the front end and the back end, then you're going to be in luck, you're going to have more of a chance of keeping people around and making them actually watch what the offer is. So jumping back out of that, let's jump into some techniques and some tools that we can use here. So the first one I mentioned was fonts. There is a Chrome extension called Font Finder, and this really helps keep congruency, like I said. So it's actually up here. And what we can do is find some font on the page. Now, I can see that this is already Railway, but if we click on that, you can see Railway, you can see the font size is 40 pixels. You can see the spacing is 44 pixels. Don't worry about that. For this one, word spacing, there's no spacing in between the letters and the words. You can see the color here. The background color is obviously transparent, so there's nothing. You can see the font color, which is the purple. You can see the HTML details. Like, you can see basically everything you need to see for fonts, which is absolutely awesome. So that's our headline font, and then we can go ahead and jump into what we can use for our body. So we can see Roboto, we can see the font color again. You can see all the stats of the font. So this is going to be a really handy tool for when you want to actually just go to the page that you're going to drive traffic to from your opt-in or your squeeze page, etc. And you can really model and keep it congruent with how this page is. So what I do in ClickFunnels to start is fonts. When I go into the editor, I will always choose my fonts first. This really just saves so much time and energy later on. I go into settings, typography, and then I select my fonts. Now I'm going to do the content font as a Railway, and then I'm going to do my headline font as Roboto. Make sense? And from there, we can start building. And this is where colors come into play now. But before I go into colors, I just want to mention, I'm actually just going to remove this one. I just want to mention convert case here. I really love convert case because it makes things easy for me. Say this font finder, I keep congruency in your affiliate marketing hacks as uppercase in most of them, except for the in. One thing I want to do is actually just convert that to sentence case, for instance. And I can just quickly paste this in here and then replace it there like so. And it just really saves time in terms of you having to resize different fonts for capitalization, for uppercase, etc. Because you can basically just come in here and go, I want it all lowercase, uppercase, capitalized, alternating, title, inverse, etc. Like, you can do pretty much all of it and then just copy it to clipboard. So really, really cool tool. Moving forward, we've got color pick eyedropper. So this is again to keep congruency in our page. And that tool is up here. It's another Chrome extension. When we come to the page, we obviously already saw the color of our text, but if we want to go ahead and use this, if it's not text, for instance, we can go ahead and grab that color straight away and copy it and use it. So that really just makes life easy. You don't have to guess, and you can keep a consistent, congruent color throughout your build. That is the key. That is the key, okay? And moving forward, you can literally just pick off all the colors on this page, even up to the background color, right? F1, F2 to F2. Cool. And from there, another really good point I really want to mention out whilst we're on this page is line of sight marketing. And that really does come into play with design. When you jump on this page, what's the first thing you notice? For me, and I'm sure it's very similar for you, is a white outline, a video box with a yellow headline with an arrow pointing to the play button. What does that tell me to do? Play the button. They don't even have to say play the button. They just point to the button, okay? And this is really powerful for Chrome these days because nothing autoplays anymore. Think about that. So if you use line of sight marketing to make sure people play the button or play the video, sorry, it's really powerful. And this is the same theory for opt-in boxes. If you have something to the right-hand side of the page over here, and you have someone on the page, you want them to be looking or pointing at the opt-in box rather than away from, because it generally naturally draws our eyes to that box. And it's the same thing here with this order button. We've got a circle around it, which naturally draws the attention to that button. So going back to our colors, we really need to just choose the branding or copy the branding that is on the next page. So obviously we've got the backgrounds don't matter too much here. It's really just the colors. They've chosen purple and yellow as their color scheme here. So we're going to go ahead and do the same. And it's a really, really nice page here. To be honest, it's quite nice. So I'm not going to go too far down and into it. But essentially, we really just want to go ahead and grab the colors so that we can stay congruent throughout the page. Now, you've already, by chance, watched Nathan's video on his pre-launch checklist. I'm not going to go into any detail about how the editor works and how things work technically. I'm just going to use the design to really make this better. So he will explain all of the stuff and how it works and all of that fun stuff. He is the master at that, so I'm going to leave that up to him. Straight away, you can see we're already using our headline, which is what we want. Now, these guys have used a really, really nice background image here that we can go ahead and grab as well with a little quick trick. So if we go ahead and inspect this element here, just drop this down. It's this one. So if we click this one, we can go and see that there's a background URL. You can copy that link address and we can go straight into here, paste that in. And now we have that background. It looks black, but it's actually not. It's the background. And you know, I'm not going to try and funnel hack this or anything like that. I just really want to show you how you can sort of keep congruency with the pages that you're modeling. Cool. And so what we can actually do with the background color here is something really cool. So obviously that cuts off. It's this one. Cool. Obviously that cuts off. Now the video is overlapping, which is very similar to how they have it, except they got a smaller video. So we can literally just build this out like so. Boom. Now we got a quite cool little section here that's pretty much very similar to how theirs is laid out. Now, I would not recommend just funnel hacking in terms of design. It's really almost quite pointless. We generally don't need that. We just need their branding colors. I'm just giving some examples. So purple and yellow. One thing we can go ahead and do is we can go ahead and using that same background, you know, we can have a you know, a guide or a checklist for something that is congruent with this offer in terms of the marketing message. So this is the FIBO Quantum program. I guess it's something to do with Forex trading here. Let's see what this actually does. It just takes us to a checkout, which is $200. Okay, so that's cool. And you see that the checkout page is even congruent, even though it's in ClickBank. So, you could go ahead on this page, do something like top 10 tips for traders or something like that. We can go ahead and build out an email, a little email opt-in here. If we go back, look at, they've got a really big bold yellow button here. So let's go ahead and just model that a little bit. And it looks like they've used a font similar to Oswald, or I can't actually say that one. But then we can just model this in a sense. So they're already essentially primed before they get to the next page. They're already seeing a button that looks very similar. Well, not in this case because that's an image, but it is similar colors, similar branding, etc. For this one, you could go ahead and add in like a book image, or you can get a graphic representation of a checklist made up. For instance, we could use something like that. Obviously, that's not relevant, but looks quite cool. From there, you can have like an arrow that points up. And it's funny, I would go ahead and use something like funnel scripts to actually go and write out some copy for this, just so that you are able to actually sell the checklist in a sense. Because generally, you quite need to sell like something that's free, and you need to convince them, especially if you've got like a cold traffic source coming towards you. I'm not sure if you remember what Steven's sales process was, but his stuff was quite focused and quite sold to you guys. Like there was a lot in the process of selling affiliate Outrage. So after we've achieved our congruency with fonts and colors, we need to go ahead and look at our layout. Now I've already started jumping into this a little bit, but basically the next thing I always do, I'm just going to delete all of this because I just wanted to give examples. I will always go ahead and I will wireframe this, and you'll see Steve doing this as well. Just go and say, okay, I've got a blank canvas. I know what my fonts and my colors are going to be. How am I going to build this page out? I know I might have a headline here or a navigation bar at the top here. That's one section. I know that I want to go narrow form now, even narrower. That's the second section. I'm thinking about putting a bit of a gap there. Do two column row in there. I'm thinking about doing an image and then some text, and then another text block, and then I want to go back to full width. You can sort of start building this out, so you've got like a framework of how you're going to do it. And then what you can also do is jump in and start adding, your background colors to your sections, like so. You can just start building out. This is really the best way to start out your build, because you've got a structure that you know that you want, and it's even more helpful if you go ahead and build this out and draw it out in person. If you got a whiteboard behind you, you draw it out in terms of the sections, or you can use an online tool like this. It's called Sketch.io. I really love Sketch.io. And you can see that my head is tiny because I scroll out all the time. But you can go ahead and with your streamer, you can go and build out what your page may look like. It's like, okay, I want a header here. I want to go and add a bigger section with, a video. I want to have an opt-in form here. Boom, boom. And then the next one is going to have, who, what, why, like having the old sales statement. Boom, boom, boom. Obviously, this is pretty hard with a mouse, but you can literally build out your sections like this. And if you want, you can go to the next step and go, okay, I've got text. I'm going to go header. For this one, I'm going to go and say like hero section, and then you can go and put in maybe a color code for the background, and this way, like, you've literally built out the page, and you have mapped it all out. So you can literally then go, okay, I've got my offer, I've got my message, and you'll learn more about that from Steve. I've got the tech know-how from Nathan, and then it's like, okay, now I need to do this and lay my page out like this to build with the right message and the right offer to be congruent with the affiliate offer that I want to drive people to. And you can just start to build it out. And then once you've done this, you've got a clear example, you can actually download this and just have it printed or have it to the side, whatever you want to do. And then you can go into ClickFunnels and go, okay, I've got a header, I've got two column row, cool, 2-column row. And then want to go into something else, and you can start building out the design that way. And it's just really helpful to know where you're going before you go there. So once you've got sort of figured out the layout, the next thing is, and this is stretched a little bit, sorry about that, high quality graphics with quick page loading. Okay, quick page loading. That is the main thing that we want to look for, is quick page loading. So how can you get this? How can you achieve this? Before I grabbed the background image of that page. Now, that background image was probably a little bit too big. You can see I'm on 250 gigabytes per second internet speed. And this is taking a little while to load. And I mean, it's not that bad. It's a few seconds. It's a big page. It's a really, really big page. But when you have slow loading page speed, you actually are not allowing people to actually look at the page. Your bounce rate will go higher. You'll find that people leave quicker because they can't deal with the loading time. There's a lot of issues with traffic and big loading time. So what you can do to actually lower the size or the file size and increase the speed time of your page is actually use a few tools that I've outlined here for you. So I've gone in and, I've linked in a few things like TinyPNG. TinyPNG is absolutely amazing. I use it every single day, and it's basically an image compressor. So if I was to go in here, I've got some images of a few different people. This image here is 1.1 megabyte, which is huge, way too big to put on a page. If I go ahead and open that in here, you'll see that it starts compressing, and it will actually reduce the file size or compress the file size without actually hindering the quality of the image. You can see that it saved us 70% of file size. Now, 373 kilobytes is too big still. You really want to have something that's less than 100 kilobytes. So what I would do, and you can do something similar as well, is you purchase a design software like Affinity, which is $80, and it'll be like everything that you need in this world, Affinity Photo. And you can just go ahead and reduce the dimensions before you try to reduce the file size. Now, the dimensions are the biggest key in actually reducing the file size, and then you can compress the file. So let's just jump into here. And you really don't have to reduce your files to really crazy amounts. So if I jump in and export this file straight away, you can see that as a PNG, we've got a pretty big dimension here, 2000 pixels. If I reduce this to 800, for instance, we can straight away see that that's going to reduce our file size to 200 kilobytes, which is almost there. And from there, we can go back to Tiny PNG. We can go and upload our file now, and we'll see what it does. We'll see where we can get it to. 70% still was saved. But now we've got a 62 kilobyte image, and that's going to help our load speed by literally 5 times. So now if we look at this, still looks fantastic, still looks amazing, but yet it's not going to hinder the load speed of our page. So besides that, we've got a few other tools. I know that Steve loves transparent backgrounds or subtle patterns. You'll hear him rave on about that quite a bit here. And I really do think that they're awesome as well. And what we can do, we can go ahead and we can just find one. You'll see that this page has used something subtle in the background, and it makes such a difference than having just a white page. Right? So if we scroll down, they've got some really high quality graphics, but look at this background. It's so subtle, but it looks really nice. They've opted in for images rather than subtle pattern stuff, and you might find a lot of people doing that. However, subtle patterns really do break up the page from color to color to color to color to background so much. So if we were to use something like this, you can just download this straight away. You show in folder, you can actually just cool. And we can go over to ClickFunnels, and we may want the main background. We may want the main background to be a subtle pattern. And these are tiny file size, guys. These are really small. Won't hinder your page at all. So once we've done that, we just go repeat, and we've got a cool looking background now that I would go more subtle, but it's cool. I think it's cool. And then when we do this, it'll be less noticeable because it's not really there. And then when we start to build out this page, adding in different elements and things, you'll see that it'll just become really subtle. So that's a really cool resource there for you guys. Besides that, we've got some other things like duotone, which is easy background overlays. So this is really fantastic for finding images for your background, especially with the congruency of your affiliate page here. So these guys have used different whites to gray to make it look really, really nice, or even purple overlays here. And you can do something very similar. And when you download these, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So something like that, you know, straight away we've got an image that we didn't have to edit. We can just download this image and we'll see what file size it is. It's actually 353, which isn't too bad. And if we chuck it into tiny PNG, we may just get it to under 100 kilobytes. And we did. So that's perfect now to upload as a background. So it's really fantastic and really easy to use and get some high quality background images with ease. So what's next? We've got a few tabs here now. That's it, I believe, in terms of this 4 parts. Really, there's nothing that you have to go overboard with design. You really just need to focus on staying congruent. This is the main thing I wanted to push across. Staying congruent with your fonts and your colors. And then obviously the offer is separate from design, but offer, your fonts, your colors, your layouts has to be congruent with the offer page if you're sending them somewhere afterwards. And if you want to build a brand around that, I would suggest modeling the same fonts, the same colors as well. From there, it's really all about page design is really all about the file size, using high quality images that have low file size so you can have that faster rate. And another thing that I really want to point out is here with video, if you are having a main sales video, yes, use this video element. But if you're having testimonial videos, I would go ahead and use something like a video pop-up. Now, this is something Steve really loves as well. Basically, you still put your YouTube link in here or your Vimeo or your Wistia, whatever it may be. But then you have to put a placeholder image. The good thing about this is if you have a low file size placeholder image, you can then not burden your page loading time because it doesn't actually have to load the video itself. It just has to load the image. And if the image is good and low, then when they click the video, that's when it happens. So let me just give you an example here. So the page is loaded. We've just got a thumbnail here. Now when we click it, then it starts loading the video, okay? And that's really crucial because once they're on the page, you don't really want to give them any reason to go away from the page. You want them to stay. So having these elements like this that are fast, that load the page extremely quickly are so beneficial when it comes to this. Cool. And then the last thing I really want to touch on is saving your sections for congruency throughout all your pages. So most of you will have a company set up, right? And most of you will need some sort of legal terms in the bottom of your page. So one thing that you can do straight away that's very easy that you can replicate consistently is go ahead and with the branding that you've figured out, go ahead and set up a little footer for yourself. And you can have different sections that you can continually clone throughout each funnel page to keep that congruency. And as soon as you jump into building, you can go ahead and add your element in before you start or at the end or whatever it may be, just to make sure you got it. Because in the world of advertising and Facebook and legal stuff, you actually need to have that legal crap in the footer, as Stephen likes to call it. So you can go ahead here and add this in. Just go all rights reserved. And then you link your privacy policy or something like that. not going to go into hyperlinking or anything, but Nathan will or would have. From there, you can just go ahead and save that. And then every time you create a page, you can go ahead and just press the plus, go to My Sections, and import that with a click of a button. So that concludes my short training here on funnel design. And I know I didn't do much funnel design itself. I'm going to leave some of that for the more advanced section. I'm going to do a further advanced section on CSS and some of that cool stuff. But basically, that is the theory and the things that you need to know when you're designing your pages to be congruent with the offer that you're sending people to, or congruent with the affiliate marketing that you're doing. So hope you guys enjoyed, and if you have any questions at all, my support email is actually at the bottom of the slide, support@thefunneldivision.com. If you want to message me through there, send me an email if you have any questions around funnel design. If you want to see some of my examples or anything like that, you can message me and ask, and I can send you a whole bunch of screenshots that I've done that are amazing. And again, if you have any questions around the training, please feel free to hit me up there. So thanks again for watching. I've been Chris Benetti, and stay tuned for the more advanced section.